All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to another time here. Getting to get more comfortable on Instagram Live. That's what's done a slight delay here, but still here with the book club. That's what I got to do Sunday afternoons, and I'm gonna go ahead. We've been doing a read through our sixth book here, The Good Life. That's what we're reading through right now, The Good Life. And we're gonna go into chapter 2 today and start reading to chapter 2. We'll probably need 2 more reads to conclude this. So probably take us 3 reads into chapter 2 to be able to complete it. So that's what we're gonna do this afternoon. So you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. I hope he blesses you. Thanks, Charlotte, for coming along. So I'm going to bring up my slides here. You're not going to be able to see it on Instagram Live, but you'll be able to see it on YouTube and on Facebook. So let me launch that here, and we'll go for it. Alrighty, so we've been reading through the book. It's our 6th book in the series, and it's a book written by Robert Waldinger and Marc Schulz, right? And it's just a book. It's 84 plus years study into human adult development by the Harvard School, just to find out what makes for a good life. That's what the book is all about. So it's 84 plus years study, which includes people like John F. Kennedy in the study. So we're just trying to see what they learned and see how we can extract that. Pretty much the summary of the whole book is that to live a good life, you need to have good relationship, good quality relationship in all the different areas of your life. You know, that's pretty much a summary of the whole book. But though we know the end of it, we're trying to get the meat, you know, to put on the bone as we go through the book, you know, learn more about relationship and learn more about how we can actualize the result of the book in our personal lives, right? So that it's not just that it's a truth, but it becomes a truth in our own personal life, right? We can live it, as it were, in our personal life. So that's what we're trying to look at here as we go through the book. Trying to hear myself on Facebook, but I need to mute the volume on that. Alrighty, while that comes up, but that's what we're trying to look at here, you know. And typically I try to run through the schedule today. Like I said, it's our first read into chapter 2 of the book. We'll probably have 2 more reads or 3 more reads into it to conclude the chapter, and we'll go on ahead with that. So what we're going to look at here in the title of chapter 2 really is why relationship matters. That's the way chapter 2 it's titled, Why Relationship Matters. Why relationship matters is what we're trying to look at. Why it matters, why relationship matter in having a good life, right? In having a good life. That's what we're looking at, and it's a whole chapter trying to look at that. But here we'll look at the first part of it, and one of the first quote here that that's in the book talks about the fact that, you know, and this is also someone will get from Jim Rohn, you know, even though the obvious truths around us, the same way we talk about common sense, right? Common sense is that sense which is supposed to be common, but it's not common. You know, it's like there are some obvious things that will miss us. just because they're obvious. We're expecting them not to be obvious, but they are obvious, so it eludes us, right? It's the same thing. We'll talk about the fact that, sometimes big things come in small packages and we'll miss them because we're looking at the size, and we're not able to see beyond the size. We're not able to see beyond the cover, and we'll miss a treasure, that's in them. So truth, as much as we all know that relationship will benefit us, it's not all we're all supposed to know. Some people probably don't know. You hear people will be talking from the results of their life and say things like, I'd rather stay alone, or I've been hurt, so I would not expose myself to be hurt again. What they do is that if you don't expose yourself to relationship, you keep yourself away from life itself. You're not going to have life except by relating with other people. The fullness of life is not found in ourselves. We're here, the essence of our being is in the relationship we have with other people, right? As much as those relationships can hurt us, right? The essence of our life is found in them, right? The fullness of our life is found in them, right? So it's all about us gaining mastery in relationship and not being scared away from it, right? So the treasure is in relationship just as much as it can hurt us, right? It's also the source of our joy. It's the source of our happiness. It's the source of the love that we seek, right? We're not going to get that love. We're not going to get that happiness, outside of relating with someone else, right? Whether it be our own parents, our siblings, our spouse, our children, and the general public as a whole, right? Life demands that we gain mastery, right, in the area of relationship and not avoid it, right? So we're not going to have life outside of relationship. And as part of the study, someone, one of the participants was asked a question at the age of 80, as to what was the secret of his aging well? What was behind him being able to age well, have the best of life, even at the age of 80? And this was his answer that he gave. He said, happiness. He says that the reason why he was able to age well at the age of 80 was still well, it was healthy and was happy. He had a good outlook to life, because he said it was due to happiness, it was due to caring. And he says, watch what you are eating also. So pretty much in the first part of his answer was he lived a happy life. He cared. And also he watched what he was eating. He also said, try to get out and do a little walking exercise. He says that he's talking about the benefit of exercising, right? In helping him to live a good life, right? And lastly, he says you should have friends. It's so good to have friends, right? You're not going to be happy on your own, right? So you need to invest in knowing how to have friends. As much as they are bad friends, they are also good friends, right? You're not going to get the good without meeting the bad, right? Life is positive and negative. You learn the good from the bad, right? And hopefully you can get better in the adventure of having friends and relating well, right? But, so, and it's so easy to know the reason why relationship it helps us in the area of happiness and health, because we have good vibes when we have people that we can relate to it. There's a joy, that there's a difference on the inside. There's a coming to life, when we relate with other people, especially when we gel, when we're at the same frequency, right? When we like the same things, when we can share our own opinion, where people give thoughts to what we have to say, where we see that the advice or the counsel we give to someone is benefiting them, and when someone is also able to give us counsel, direction, that we would have either to not known except for that person said it, and obviously when we don't relate at all, or when we don't relate well, it affects us also, so it's all about, in getting better in the area of relationship and knowing how to relate with people, right? Scientific studies have told us, again and again, that human beings need nutrition, they need exercise, and they need purpose, and we need one another, right? So the way we live a good life is by again, we need good nutrition. We're eating well, right? We need exercise, we need a purpose, we need a reason, and we need each other, right? That's important. We need each other, we need a reason, we need a purpose, we need to exercise, we need to eat well, and that is scientifically proven, right? Positive relationships are essential for our well-being, right? So that's critical, but that's more like a broken record, but what we'll get to do as we go along here, is to dig further into that, even, as we go through this book, go through the sessions, and possibly help answer some of the questions we might have around relationships, right? So relationship provides support, to get us through rough times, right? When we're going through rough times, we need someone, is that popular song, Lean on Me, right? Lean on me, lean on me. Yeah, and tomorrow might be me leaning on you. We need one another. We need a shoulder to bear the weight, when we cannot stand on our own 2 feet. I've been through depression, so I know the value of having a shoulder to lean on, and I know the value of being a shoulder for others to lean on, also being a counselor, but that's what we do for one another. Life is made of different phases. Life is made of season. We have the winter of life, we have the summer of life, right? We have the spring of life, right? In the spring of life, it's like you can do it all on your own, but when winter hits, you need somebody, and whether you'll have somebody or not in the winter of your life is a function of what you did in the spring of your life. Did you invest in the life of others? Did you invest such that there will be shoulder that you can harvest to rest on in the day, in the winter of your life? So it's all about learning relationship skills to be able to have that, right? So relationships provide for us support in the rough times. We all having someone to help us through struggles, make a lot of difference for us, right? It makes a lot of difference, like when you go with others, then you can go far, right? Obviously there's a whole lot we can do on our own, but we can do better, when we do with others. It's also talking about a continuum of life, right? We all come very dependent, right? And we're going to the independence, and that independence kind of gets in the head of some people, and you think you don't need other people, right? But there is a higher level you can go to beyond just an independent status, which we call the interdependent status, right? It's a place where you enter into what we call, it's a synergistic relationship, it's what we call the mastermind, right? That's the essence of marriage. People go into marriage for other things than what God created it for, right? It's the God's creation is to increase our potential, is to increase our ability. One will put to flight 10,000, two will put to flight 100,000, right? That's what we're supposed to get in a place of relationship when we're rightly engaged, to someone else. We go beyond just having a independent relationship to a place where we can have an interdependent relationship, right? And that's supposed to produce a synergistic relationship whereby what you're able to get is more than the sum of your two strengths, right? Like again, the scripture would say, one will put to flight 1,000, and two will put to flight 10,000, right? It's not 2,000, 10,000. That's called a synergistic relationship. It's called the mastermind, developing the mastermind, right? Developing a mind that is bigger than the sum of the two minds, right? That's the essence of relationship when it's rightly done, right? So one of the things we look at also is, I jumped something here. True relationships will learn how to think also, right? When I relate with other people, I broaden my ability to think, right? If I just stay on my own, I can go dull. But when you you join with other people to reason. You increase your ability to think. Again, that goes to what we talk the mastermind, right? Two of you are able to get a better result than one person can get. Also, we'll learn to understand, right? As we'll learn to, we have to understand others before we are understood. It helps us to comprehend things better, right? We're looking at things from one angle, but someone brings another angle to it, and we're able to then join the two angles to get a better sphere, of understanding of whatever the issue might be that we're looking at. It also helps us to communicate, right? It helps us to behave more appropriately as we hold back some, and we know where to hold back to control ourselves, because for just like two people going for a walk, right? When you go for two people go for a walk, they cannot walk at the same intensity or space that they would walk on their own. They have to adjust, come to a new walking pace, new walking intensity or speed that works for their journey together and for the conversation they might be having. So relationships work on us to better us, right? That's why we say that every communication, corrupts, changes us, right? That corruption could be negative or positive, depending on who we're engaging with and how we're engaging, right? But it's supposed to help us when it's rightly done. It helps, relationships also help us to express emotion and to develop social skills, right? Relationships will also foster health or well-being, because they help us to keep fear and anxiety a more manageable or regulated emotional state, right? So those are different benefits we can get, from relationships, and we'll look more into that as we will read further, But the question is, with all these benefits that we have listed here, not everybody necessarily sees it that way, like I said earlier, based on different encounters people have had, they've learned to see relationship other than what it really is, right? And also that general, and also sometimes culture is an issue. What has become the norm around us, right? So and some of this is because of the way we're damaged by life, we tend not to give the relationship the benefit or the power it carries, and we tend to want to defend ourselves, right? Want to hold ourselves back, and we think that we're keeping ourselves from danger, but we're also keeping ourselves from the benefit of relationship, right? So a story was told by David Foster Wallace, right, at a commencement address at Kenyon College in 2005, and it was about two small fishes swimming together, and an adult fish meets them and asks them about how is the water, and they didn't understand. They were confused by the question, right? No one has ever told them that the environment in which they were was water, right? They are just taking the water in which they swim for granted. How much, we all take that for granted. We all need oxygen around us. Imagine someone coming to you and saying, how is the oxygen? Which oxygen? Oh, we will not be alive without the oxygen that's freely around us to breathe, right? And when we don't know that, then we don't do things to benefit us, because if we are truly aware of the oxygen, we'll plant more trees rather than having to have a concrete in every corner. We'll seek for more greenery, because the more greenery you have around it, the more fresh the environment is, because the more oxygen, is allowed to be around you, and the more carbon dioxide is taken away. But we seemingly take that for granted because it's just available. So that was the essence of the story. Those small fishes didn't know what water was, because they were just taking it to be normal, right? And sometimes that's the place of relationship. We all assume relationship as normal. We overlook the benefit, of right relationships in our lives. That's why we all carried away with gadgets today, spend times on gadgets rather than talking to someone else. You get on the ride and the first thing you're looking at is your phone, rather than engaging the people that you have the privilege of riding with and missing probably the opportunity of a lifetime, of knowing what they can connect you with, what they can benefit you with, because we've so taken for granted what relationship is and the benefit of it. So this discussion is pretty much to a great relationship in our lives, probably awaken the importance, in our mindset, in our consciousness, so that hopefully we can begin to uh, latch on more into what benefits we can get, from it. So let's just I'm going to close this looking at some of these cultural influences here. Next week we'll look at some of the meats and a lot more, but not wanting to go past our 30 minutes plan. I'll just stay with the cultural influences for today to close out. So the important assumptions, value judgments, and practice that create, what are we, well, which is what I've already said, right? And Albert Einstein puts this quote. He says, everything that can be counted does not necessarily count, and everything that counts cannot necessarily be counted, so, and that probably comes here with a relationship. It's not something you can really put numbers to. This 80% good, 20% good. And sometimes that's the reason why we take it for granted. We'd rather be more attracted to things we can count than the things we cannot count. But the things that are probably most important in our lives cannot be counted, and that's probably some reasons why we overlook them, right? So we tend to focus on what is most visible and most immediate, right? The value of relationship is ephemeral and hard to quantify, but things like money, achievements, social media followers can be counted, and that's what we miss it. I'm more after how many followers I have that I lose, I forget the reason for the followership. It's not about the followership, but what the followership would work out, right? The followership is about people that I can interact with. If all I have is the numbers that are growing and there's no interaction, then there's no benefit in it. One is my marriage community. When it first started, we had a lot of engagement. We had comments going into the thousands, right? We had people commenting and we could relate, I could stay all night, replying people. But somehow as we grew in number, those comments kind of dried up. I don't know why. I guess people didn't want to show, they didn't feel probably secure, sharing their private issues as the numbers grew. But that was sad for me, right? We grew up into the 100,000. And it's like the comments dried up, right? I would rather have stayed at 50,000 and kept the comments, the engagement, because it's not about the followership, it's about the relationship, it's about the rubbing of minds, it's about learning from one another, it's about the discussions, right? And that's what I'm trying to rebuild here, even though yeah, we're still at our number, we've come down a bit, but that's all I try to do in those communities, right? It's not about me being a star. It's not about me, it's about the engagement. I want to learn from all this just as much as I want to share what I have, but that's why I have all those communities. It's not a show off, and it's just to rub minds together and hopefully that we better one another, right? So it's not about the number, it's not about the achievements, it's about what we can get from it, right? So that's where I'm going to stop, because the next thing I have on my slide is talking about the meat of the foundation of the good of people thinking that money is what good life is all about. Going to, maybe I should take that. Maybe I should just take that. Yeah. Then let me spill that into next week. All right. So one of the myths here, just like I talked about followership, is people think the foundation of a good life is money, but people miss it from that point, right? That's why some people with poverty mentality just keep on grabbing. Money is useless. Money is not the essence of a good life. Right? The money is not for money itself. Money cannot be eaten. Money will not give you a good life, right? On its own, right? It is what money can do, not money itself. It's what money can do. If you don't know how to use money, you will not get a good life. You can have all the money in this world, but if you don't know how to use it right, you will not have a good life. So it's not about money, it's about how to use the money. It's not about the followership, it's about how to use the followership. It's not about the achievements, it's about how to use the achievements. It's what the achievements can do. It's what the money can do. It's what the followership can do. It's about the relationships that you can walk out by reason of those things. In scriptures, Jesus Christ was talking up to people that had money. He said, use that money to win unto yourself, friends. Win people to yourself by reason of the money. The money itself is useless. You're not even going to take that money away past this life. Right? But what you can leave, the legacy you can leave is the way you use that money, right? The way you use that money to bless people, to change lives, right? The more money you have, the more fake friends you have. Everybody wants to come to you as if they're your friends, but they're not your friends. They're the friends of the money. So if you're foolish enough to think that it's because of you they're coming, you're going to die miserable, right? It's about knowing how to use the money, right? Not just having the money. Right? Aristotle puts this way. He says the life of money making is one undertaken under compulsion. And wealth is evidently not the good we are seeking for. Right? It says wealth is not the good we are seeking for it is merely useful for the sake of something else. Right? Is what the wealth can do, not the wealth itself. Just getting wealth will not make you happy. Just getting wealth will not give you a good life. It's what you can use the wealth to do, right? Ben Franklin puts it this way. He says, money has never made man happy, nor will it. No, it's what you can do with it that will make you happy. Maya Angelou puts it this way. He says, don't make money your goal. Instead, pursue the things you love doing and then do them so well that people can't take their eyes off you, right? It's what you do with it, right? Money can't buy happiness, but what you do with money can buy happiness, right? So more quotes as I close the session. So the Millman puts it this way. He says, the journey is what brings us happiness, not the destination. Right? It's not when I have 1 million, 2 million that I'll be happy. If I'm not happy today that I have 100,000, I will not be happy when I have the millions. Right? It's the journey, not the destination. You have to learn to be happy, learn to use what's in your hand at every stage, point in time of your life. Is what you do with the money, not the money itself. The happiness is not something you design for tomorrow. It's something you design for today and every day of your life. Right? Terry Pratchett puts it this way. He says the meaning of life is to find your gift. To find your gift is happiness, right? It's about finding why you are here, what you are endowed with, and how to use it, how to be a blessing, how to live the essence of your being, right? That is where happiness comes from. And lastly, Christopher Morley puts it this way. He says there's only one success. And it says there's only one success: to be able to spend your life in your own way, right? That's what money does. Money buys you quiet. Money buys you the experience. Money buys you the ability to do things in your own way, right? So it's not money. Money is not going to give you happiness, but it's your ability to use the money well, right? All right, that's all I got for today. I'm going to end it here. Hope you got something from it. It's still reading through a book. The first part in chapter 2, we're going to continue next week reading into it. And all we're trying to learn here is relationship, how to use relationship, the right quantity and quality of relationship to be able to live a good life, a happy life, a healthy life, right? All right, so I'm done here. I'll see you the same place next week, God willing. All right, enjoy yourself. Have a good one. Have a great week ahead of you. God bless you. Bye-bye.